ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Burglar Report Bible Study. The Bible study for the skeptically minded. And of course, I'm your host, Bible Dave. When I say skeptically minded, I'm not referring to God. I'm not skeptical about God or the scriptures. I'm skeptical of the way knowledge is delivered. Very much skeptical of church doctrines and ancient methods of control. So, I'd like to do a verse by verse reading and discussion and kind of analyze the word on the go. Whatever comes to mind and how we can relate to maybe bring it to more contemporary light, or even possibly flesh out some of that occultic wisdom, the teachings that are supposed to be passed down, not the politics that are fought over for who knows what reason anymore. In any case, I just happy to be back. That was missing a contraction in there somewhere. Had a little bout with the illness going around. The thing, if you will. And I am feeling quite well. I doubled up on my vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and of course turmeric, because the quercetin in turmeric activates the zinc. Can't have viruses stop replicating, which is what zinc does, part of it, or kill the viruses without something to help activate it. Make it more bioavailable. Easy for your body. Lots of fluids, ton of bed rest, and some good old outside vitamin D. Yes, gotta get that fresh air and sunshine. But yeah, as I'm feeling a whole lot better. Always something. Every week there's always something. This past Saturday, woke up with a bit of a migraine after work, after my after work nap. Dad naps are great, don't knock them. Turned into a whole nasal thing, a lot of sinus congestion. Overall, wasn't that bad. So, thank God for that. Then again, I still am a young chicken, young springy young man chicken. And, hormones are still raging. So, haven't been put out the pasture quite yet. But we got a little blemish there, a couple blemishes. My illness did take a toll on my eczema, unfortunately. So where did we leave off? We were working, we just got into Noah. And which was, I think all we read was chapter 6, The World Gone Wrong. A world gone wrong very much, not unlike our world going wrong in so many ways. Oh yeah, he was getting after it, and then he did the thing. Alright. Yeah, we sure did cover that past week. That was already a week ago. Time is flying. Before that, we had the descendants of Adam. As I pointed out before, I do believe Adam and Eve are not where we came from. They were simply but a bloodline pointing out in the scriptures that went from Adam to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And so there were actually other men, or other man created in this world, as pointed out previously in chapter 1 of Genesis. Chapter 1 and chapter 2. Man was created a second time, which would have been Adam and Eve. More interesting information. I do not add or detract from the word. I merely point out what's obvious to me. The church likes to add on all kinds of context and reasoning. I think that gets in the way of things. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't know. Find out. But it makes sense. It all makes sense to me. New Living Translation is very easy to understand. It's just like 6th grade reading level. Don't understand why people have to go to church to learn. Same reason why people don't have to go to school to learn. There's information out there, so much of it. You just have to take your power back, as I say in my other show, and think for yourself. Alright. So, chapter 7. The flood covers the earth. When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with all your family, for among all the people of the earth, I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you the 7 pairs, male and female, of each animal I have approved for eating and for sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that all life, will survive on earth after the flood. 7 days from now, I will make the rains pour down on the earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights until I have wiped the earth of all living things I have created." Interesting. See, there's a little asterisk there. Chapter 7, verse 2. Oh, okay. That's for each of the animals I approved for eating, or the clean animals, the kosher animals. Because obviously Noah was Hebrew. Is that right? Jewish? Hebrew would have been the language. I'm bad at this. So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. Now Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with the birds and small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. Well, I mean, there's always significance in numerology, the 7 days. 7 days of creation, where God rested on the 7th day. And of course, 7 clean animals. Now, some of the ancient methods, especially like in Leviticus, pointed out, if you read through it, all the do's and don'ts of things, and the clean animals with the sacrifice. The sacrifice is obviously symbolic, giving up to God when you're your first like 10%, the tithing. But the clean animal part, obviously, that's just, to me, you want to eat something that doesn't have parasites in it. Nowadays we can cook meat thoroughly, we can check temperatures, we can open things up and have we have a better understanding of bacteria and parasites and all the fun stuff. They didn't really have that back then, so they just knew what animals not to eat. So I mean, it's obvious where that would come from. You have to utilize kind of what you know and put it in a way for the masses to understand. So this is where early church was very effective. You had your priests, and they would just say, you don't dress this way, you don't act this way. Maybe because if you're acting, promiscuous, people are going to get pregnant, diseases are going to spread. So we're going to write it down in a way. Now everybody hates church because they don't agree with that anymore. Go figure. But it was for a specific reason back then. Now we kind of understand the reason, yet we still do nothing to prevent it. And then we yell at people for it. Oof. Man, the irony, I tell you. Same thing with the food. Get your clean animals, you ain't clean animals. Learn all about it online. Although Noah being 600, that is well aged. Okay, when Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. So the water was coming up too. I don't remember that part. Okay. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. So it was like a massive flood, obviously, massive storm from above. But they had, all the stuff coming up from the ground too. So that could be from a perspective of, as we talked about last time, there were major events that happened on this planet that caused just flooding across the entire, at least northern hemisphere. I'm trying to think if I've known of any sunken structures on the southern hemisphere. I don't know. Every ancient culture has depictions of an ancient flood, but and off the coast of Florida, there are pyramids on the ocean floor. There's ancient temples off the coast of Japan, India, all the waters surrounding Scotland, Ireland. There's crazy stone structures that are now all buried underwater. So there was definitely a massive flood, and there's evidence of a comet striking North America, or that was the initial theory. I covered this in the last video, but there was something that happened, and that killed off all the mammoths and brought an end to an ice age that struck the North American glacier. Very interesting stuff. Anyways, continue on. Chapter 13. On that very day, Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, along with the birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and a female of each kind entered, as God has commanded. A male and female of each kind entered, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. Okay. Jeez. Can't read apparently. For 40 days, the floodwaters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, I cannot read. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains on earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. All the living things on earth died: birds, domestic animals, all the wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on the earth: people, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, birds, and all the birds in the sky. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those that were with him in the boat. And the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days. Yeah, that's crazy. And it does go along with that, perhaps asteroidal impact or comet impact of a great flood. And they do believe that was one of the great resets this past ice age, because you obviously have these ancient structures like the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids, and even the ones in South America that the Incas built. These structures predate our modern civilization 6,000, 12,000 years ago. So there was something there that got wiped off, and a handful of people survived. And this is that story. I mean, this story is in every ancient culture that only a handful of people, of wisest persons that saw this coming, actually survived. So when you want to take it how it is, literally, or understand that this is a kind of a history lesson of what happened, something that happened, some great catastrophe happened, somebody figured it out, or maybe the tale just says somebody figured it out and was able to survive from this. So very, take it for what you will, but also understand that these scriptures are like, as I've said before, like Aesop's tales, like the tortoise and the hare. These are stories, these are cosmic tales, these are tales of Earth, history. Who knows, what they're telling, but there's very important information that's being transferred, but it's in a way that we can relate to. It's in like a human form that we can relate to. I mean, who knows? Noah's 3 sons could be the 3 stars on the belts of Orion. That could be a stretch, obviously, but I'm just saying could be deeper symbology there, or more occult knowledge in there that I don't know about. But at the very front of it would be Great Flood happened. Everybody died. A couple people survived, and this is their tale. And now we're back. Took tens of thousands of years to get back on top, kind of. I guess if this is what you call top. Some advanced technology, we haven't changed much, or at all, according to Noah's time. Alright, chapter 8, the flood recedes. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock with him on the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and floodwaters began to recede. The underground water stopped flowing, and torrential rains from the sky were stopped. So the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to rest on the top of the mountains of Ararat. I'm bad with names. Pronunciations. 2.5 months later, I'm a terrible reader. I'm coming to find out, or at least reading out loud. Let's try that one again. Oh, that is a new sentence. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made on the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the floodwaters of the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the water had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could find no place to land because the water still covered the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time, the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf on its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and released the dove again. This time it did not come back. Now, I have no idea what the symbology of these birds are about. Obviously there are 7-day periods. I don't know. Doesn't have any asterisks. You have to look up any of these animals, these ravens and doves. Obviously dove peace. Uh-oh. Got someone trying to get in here. Hold on, son. Okay, puppy. Well, I guess my son says we're done. Oh, no, he's good. Okay. You got a 4-year-old. Anyways, okay. Noah was now 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, the flood waters almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Alright, so it's been 8 months perhaps? Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, and your wife and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah and his wife and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all of the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, and he said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race. Even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood, I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. So it says, I'll never again curse the ground. Okay. I'll never again destroy all living things. Interesting. Oh, the covenants in the next chapter. I was going to say, I thought the promise was not to destroy all living things by flood, but that's going to be next chapter 9. So everything was released. Go be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth. See, I like this New Living Translation because it's easy to understand, but it's missing some of the old school vocabulary, where you can tell there was more meaning to it. This is just such a simple understanding or translation, which is good, but there's so much lost in context. Might have to switch up to my King James version. That one, I got a big one. It's like huge, and I have like the Strong's Bible or the Strong's definition. I could be looking stuff up all day. That's going to require preparation. See, that's not something I do. My videos are just one shot, off the cuff. Take it or leave it, for better or for worse. In any case, that's it for today. I don't know. I've just been thinking a lot since I've had this time off. I got a week off because of the virus. Just kind of enjoying time with my family, watching movies, doing some things, kind of. Got some more stuff to do. But other than that, like and subscribe, follow, share my videos. Check out my merch. You too could be an owner of this beautiful mug. See this guy? Burglar Report. Yeah, it's very. There it is. Kind of. But I will see you next week for some more Bible study. Probably, maybe a video tomorrow, maybe tonight. Who knows? Probably tomorrow. I do want to get into some conspiracies. I've been meaning to. I know I talk about that a lot, and this is what we do. We do a lot of talking, good or bad. So, thank you.